another episode of the Law Thoughts brought to you by the Grandon Group, Arizona's #1 brother and sister real estate team. Today, Jaden and I are really proud to come in here and interview Daniel McCarthy, who is running for Arizona State Senate. Jaden, let's go on in and meet Daniel. Daniel McCarthy, and I know Amy's shooting the video, but I gotta tell you, I get more ladies asking about you. They're like, "Who's Daniel McCarthy? I'm voting for him," which is great. So Daniel, thanks for sitting down with us. I know you're super busy running a campaign.
Yeah.
So why did you decide to not only jump into a campaign and go for U.S. Senate? You're not even starting with city council or school board or anything.
Well, I've been involved for a long time behind the scenes as a donor, as an activist, and I've been a PC for the Republican Party for about 10 years, and I'm a state committeeman now, for example, for the Republican Party. In 2016, I got involved very heavily in the Trump campaign. I donated $25,000 to the Trump campaign, and we donated a lot of our time and effort. I mean, I went door to door. I'm in the cosmetics industry along with real estate. I had a lot of different businesses, and it wasn't very popular to be a Donald Trump fan at that point, but I saw him as an opportunity to disrupt Washington. And I was very concerned over the culture of Washington, D.C., because Washington was never designed to be as powerful as it is. So I've been a student of politics for a long time. I never wanted to be a politician because, frankly, it's so much funner just to find a horse to get behind and get him elected. After 2016, if you guys remember, we got Republican majority in the House and the Senate, and that's when my eyes were really starting to become open to how bad it is, how corrupt it is, because a lot of the things that should have happened didn't happen.
Right.
And I took it personal. And then in 2018, this race became a big problem because we lost a Senate seat to Kyrsten Sinema, who I believe is a very radical leftist. Obviously this isn't a political show,
right.
But I don't like big government bureaucrats, and I don't like radical left agendas. And that's what Kyrsten Sinema brought. So I was discouraged that Martha lost. Then she was appointed after John McCain died. So you have 2 Senate seats in the state, and I looked at it and I said, man, we're losing the culture of our state. We're losing what Arizona, I believe, appeals to in terms of why so many people love Arizona. We're a Second Amendment, don't tread on me, get the government out of our way style state. A lot of people anyways, have come to Arizona because they don't want the government breathing down our neck. And so it finally, I looked at it and it kind of backfired, because I was looking for someone to run this race, because I said, we can't lose this seat. We're about to lose this seat. Martha was not going to win, I assure you. If someone didn't get in, Martha was going to lose this seat. So I said, I started trying to find someone, and that backfired, because as I was looking for someone to run this race, those people started to say, we want you to do it, we want you to do it. And then next thing you know, we had over 1,000 people ask me to run this race, and it just started to look like kind of a call for service. I mean, it looked like no one was truly representing the values of constitutional conservatism. And that's what I am. I'm a constitutional conservative. The Republican Party just happens to be the only vehicle I can use. I'm not really in love with them either, trust me. So,
Well, now, would you say with all your successes you have a great real estate company,
mm-hmm.
you got the makeup company, which
Yep.
is a makeup remover?
Yep.
Right? So if this was all socialist stuff, you wouldn't be as successful as you are.
Well, absolutely, yeah. A lot of people don't understand the nature of communism and what communism really is. But if you look to Argentina or Venezuela or countries like that, guys like me become evil. Socialists and communists look at individuals that are entrepreneurs as bad. And they have hate towards that. They have hate towards the idea of free markets. They want the government to control the means of production. And so yes, we're in a very dangerous time, because you have, unfortunately, people that are kind of hoodwinked about what really is going on. But I stress to everyone, really look to Argentina, look to Venezuela, and look at what happened in the evolution of those societies. We can't allow that to happen here, because Arizona in the United States, frankly, this is it. This is the last stand. There's nowhere to run from here. So I think that we're at a tipping point as a country, and I hope that I can have a little bit of impact one way or the other. But I would not have been able to do what I've done. None of us would be able to do what we've done without the free markets and without the system that we have.
No, we think it's great. In fact, it's almost nerve-wracking, making you nervous sitting here in front of you, because I know we've run into each other before in the real estate world, and you've got the guy who's like, you know what, I'm going right to the top, and you truly want to make a difference. So what do you say about being from New York and Arizona, mixing the two together? I mean, it's basically the best of two worlds.
Well, yeah, it does give you a little bit of insight on my personality. I grew up in upstate New York, and Arizona, like I said, when I was introduced to Arizona at 13 years old, my brother was stationed at Luke Air Force Base. So the first time I seen Arizona, no snow, you could have your guns and no issues. I looked at Arizona and I said, that's my home. And I turned 18, I literally graduated from high school and drove to Arizona. So I love the culture of Arizona, and I love how people fled where they were from to come here because of the culture of this state. It really it kills me inside to see what's happening to our state in terms of the politics of our state. So, I think with me going to the top like this, it's really not going to the top. I mean, frankly, in all fairness, this is where my capacity, I think, is best fit. I really understand the free market system. I really understand geopolitics at a different level than most people do. I've been a student of politics since the time I've been 8 years old. My mother actually ran for city council when I was 8, and she won. And she was the first woman councilwoman in the town I grew up in. And that was huge to me. She was like the president of the United States when that happened. And so I've been paying attention to politics, frankly, unhealthily, since the time I was a young guy. And like I said, this was the last resort. I only did this, and I don't plan on doing this forever. This is something that I'm not taking the salary to be your senator. I won't take the pension. I'm doing this because this is my chance to serve the country. And I think that we need true conservatives now.
And I do agree with you, Arizona being the last stand. You love Arizona.
I do.
So, I mean, it's been really great to you and stuff.
Yeah.
As far as the real estate market goes, when you get into the U.S. Senate, because I do believe you're going to win this, what are you going to do to positively affect the real estate market in Arizona?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
No, so this is where it gets fun, right? Because for you real estate brokers out there and for you agents out there, there was a situation that happened during the crash with the Dodd-Frank bill. If you remember, there was some huge regulatory changes that were so negative because real estate agents took a bad rap. If you remember,
right.
We were the ones that were blamed at that time. Brokerages were blamed for this inflation. It was like, it wasn't us. It was it was the supply and demand. I mean, there was so much demand, etc. We were the ones cleaning up the mess. I mean, if you remember when the markets crashed, it was us sitting on the phones negotiating with the banks, us sitting on the phone, working through the minutia and cleaning up this market. So the reason I bring this up is because the Dodd-Frank bill basically created the CFPB, and that regulatory agency is barbaric. It's got to go. It should never be in place. It's completely unconstitutional, and it's stopping brokerages and real estate agents from being able to monetize their business the right way. So we need to get those regulations off the real estate brokerages' back, off the title companies' backs, off the lenders' backs. So I think you guys will be so proud again because we'll start fighting for the real estate industry very hard.
So you're going to get to Washington and you're going to make sure, especially in Arizona, that realtors stay relevant.
Well, here, the real estate agents will always be relevant because what a lot of people don't understand is it doesn't matter how advanced technology becomes. The real estate transaction is such that it's so there's so many pressure points, and there's so many pieces of it's an art to be a good real estate agent. So it's kind of like the way I look at like attorneys, for example, with LegalZoom. So there's LegalZooms there now, so you can get your own forms and you can do your own thing. But if you really have a serious situation, you're going to hire a good attorney. Same thing with accountants. I mean, you've got TurboTax and you've got all these things, but I can't I'm never going to do my tax returns with you.
Right.
I have a full-time accountant doing my stuff. So real estate agents, I believe, always will have a remarkable future as long as they hone in and perfect their craft. And I don't think the industry will ever suffer from that, because technology is just never going to be able to replace that.
Sure.
So I think the brokerage industry is going to do well for years to come, especially when we have a crash, because I think a crash will happen inevitably.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and everybody knows this. I'm a huge advocate of being a full-time agent, and our slogan's full-time agent for your full-time life. I don't think people should be in a business if they're not going to commit 100% to it. So when you're at U.S. Senate, are you going to be doing other jobs, or is that going to be your full-time job?
No, I'll be full-time. I'm going to spend as little time in D.C. as I possibly can. I think a senator in Arizona is needed here, meaning that there are things that you can do from Arizona, and living in Washington, D.C. is not something I think is a good practice for a senator. You can do a lot of things here. I think the big thing that you'll find with me is that I really think the culture has changed. A lot of people don't understand that a federal senator was never selected by popular vote. Before the 17th Amendment, this is kind of boring stuff, but before the 17th Amendment, the state legislator picked your senator. So it changed after the 17th Amendment, and I would like to act as though that culture still exists, where I'm responsible to the state legislator. I'll be creating an environment where I'm working with the state legislator to go back to Washington with their concerns and their issues, and I think you'll find a whole different culture change from our office when we get the job done winning this election.
Well, and you're really good about people that don't agree with you. You're able to sit down with them without tearing into them.
Yeah.
Which is always a plus.
It is a plus. Diplomacy is a plus.
Now, how do you deal with the people that are sitting here that don't know you? They're just sitting here. Not that I've hurt anybody, because I mean, there's a lot of compliments about you out there. But if somebody's sitting there bad mouthing you or something, then coming to your face and wanting to talk.
Well, it's really love. I mean, look. I mean, our country has lost track of the fact that we're supposed to love each other. We're supposed to want the best for each other. I want to see the most success for you. I want to see the most success for anyone watching this. If someone has hate in their heart and they have hate for our country, then they should pack up and leave. I mean, there's so many communist countries out there. Arizona and this country, it's winning the lottery as soon as you're born here. So I just think it's a matter of calming people down a little bit, calming the narrative down a little bit. People are getting wrapped up in hate, and it's really a shame. Like I said, watching what's going on is really a shame now, especially with this coronavirus. I mean, you see the people they're turning people in for not wearing the government on their face. I mean, my
Absolutely.
God! I mean, now imagine if there was gun laws like this. Now imagine these same people that are calling in because you're not wearing a mask. Imagine them being able to call in because they think you're unstable with a firearm. That's what the environment is here that we're dealing with. It's crazy.
Well, Arizona's still a pretty good place. I mean, people are all pretty friendly and going forward. So let's talk about you. I don't want to get into your family too much, but you're married.
Yes.
And kids?
Yep, 17 years. I've been married. We have 4 beautiful children, 16 down to 11.
All right, so see people looking at you and they're thinking you're super young.
Yes.
So what do you guys like to do for fun? What's your favorite thing to do out here in Arizona?
Work.
Well, that's all right. What about the kids?
I like to work. No, we love. I'm a big fisherman. Fishing is my real hobby. So we love to fish. The kids love playing sports. The kids are very active in terms of wrestling and soccer, and they're always moving and shaking. The church, and this has been hard this summer, frankly. I gotta tell you, this has been one of the hardest things to watch this summer, watching all the camps being canceled. It was hard to watch that because we really look forward to the summer camps. But no, we're moving. We're always doing something, man. Always going out, always traveling. Love to travel the state. I've done 70,000 miles across the state. I have seen every corner of Arizona, and I gotta tell you, I mean, this state is unreal. I mean, you can do so much inside of Arizona that people don't have any idea.
Absolutely.
So no, we do a ton of traveling, and we're pretty active.
No, that's great. You got to be active.
Yeah.
And that's one great thing about living in Arizona is You're an hour and a half from the ski slopes
Yep.
during the winter time. During the summer when it's 150 here, an hour, and it's 68 up in Heber.
Yes.
So, real quick before I bring Jaden Grandon in, who's got a couple questions for you. Demand Daniel McCarthy. That's simple. How'd you come up with it?
Yeah, Demand Daniel. So demanddaniel.com is actually a website I've owned for a long time. It's kind of been a nickname, and what we've used is we use demanddaniel.com for people that needed to get a hold of me directly. So what I would do is if I met somebody and I wanted them to kind of have a back channel to get a hold of me, I'd say go to demanddaniel.com because my resume was on there. And when the campaign started, before it started and people were trying to find out information about me, they would look up online, and that website was easily accessible to see my resume. It was the only website really out there with my resume on it. So next thing you know, everyone's going, Demand Daniel, that's who and it just snowballed.
Right.
So Demand Daniel is something I've actually owned for a long time. It just transitioned into the political world quite well.
No, it's working great because we live up in Cave Creek, and yesterday alone, and it was just everyone coming together. I probably saw 4 or 5 cars with Demand Daniel on the back of it, which is awesome.
That's great.
And they were all like, 20-plus-year-old women in there too. What's up with that? So
I don't understand that. I don't get it.
No, it's great. I mean, you got a good marketing ploy, and I think people, when they're talking to you and they're reading your sites and stuff, they really feel comfortable that they're not trying to get a political answer.
Yeah.
Which is refreshing.
Yeah, we don't have time anymore. The country's in a really, really bad situation. We're at the edge of a cliff as a country. So
people that want to get a hold of you, donate, which, by the way, running a campaign before the general election is expensive.
Yes.
How can they donate?
Please, yes. DemandDaniel.com. You can donate right on our website. Here's the beauty. Every dollar that goes into our campaign goes directly towards advertising. I'm self-funding the primary, so all of our overhead is covered by my personal expenses. So every dollar you put into the campaign goes directly towards advertising our message. We have 2 weeks until the primary vote is tallied. We want to landslide this primary. We really want to make a point. And we want to send Washington, D.C. a message that they don't own our politics anymore. We control who our senator is. Washington, D.C. doesn't tell us who our senator is. So I would encourage everyone to donate, please.
And now, Sinema still has a couple years left on hers.
Yes.
So if you get elected, you feel like you can work with her?
No, I don't. I think she's a radical, and I think that her ideas are radical, and I think where she wants to take this country is very bad. And I look forward to persuading her that her ways are in error. There is right and wrong, and you can't afford someone that wants to compromise anymore because there's nowhere more to compromise.
No, absolutely.
So as long as we can get them moving in our direction and start playing offense, I think we'll all be in a better place.
Sure. And you come across as the type who, if you believe in something, then maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right, but you believe in it and you stick to it, which is a principle that we're not finding too much in people these days. They're too easily persuaded.
I'm known to be a little stubborn.
That's good. That's what we need.
I think so. I think right now, conservative Christians and constitutionalists, people that respect our United States Constitution, are sick and tired of seeing it trampled on by Washington, D.C. So my job is to clog the arteries a little bit.
No, that's perfect. Well, I got to bring Jaden in here.
Okay.
He's got a couple questions that's going to stuff you. Jaden, come on in.
My name is Jaden Grandon, and I just joined Turning Point USA. I go to Cactus Shadows High School at Cave Creek, and I'd like to just ask him some questions. So Daniel, as a freshman just starting high school, what are your thoughts on the importance of in-person school and just getting back to school?
Well, we have to open our schools immediately, and taking our youth and telling them that they have to wear a mask and putting fear inside you in this way is just barbaric. You should never live in fear over anything. So in-person classroom and in-person school it's critical for not only to learn obviously amongst peers, but it also helps build your character. There's certain things that you just can't learn unless you're thrown into that environment. And I think it's a travesty to watch what's going on in our public school system, because this is what happens when the government gets involved. They'll ruin anything they touch. So I think the public school system needs a lot of change quickly.
Definitely, yeah. And so, you know about Turning Point USA, right?
I do.
Yeah. So I'm getting involved with it too. So do you feel that the youth plays like a very an important role in politics and the future of this country?
Oh yeah. So I can tell you that the youth of our country has been used by the left, and what they do is they've institutionalized our young children in these school systems by not teaching them actual history. You don't have to believe biblical history. As a matter of fact, you can deny it all you want, you can hate it all you want, but there's history that should be understood by children coming out of high school. And not just that, the Constitution is something that is really never concentrated on the beauty of individual rights, individual freedom, less government. Those are things that are purposely left out of the youth. So it's a shame, because not only does you're our future, so it's critical that we instill inside of our youth the values and the traditions and the beauty of this country. So I hope Turning Point is doing a wonderful job.
Yeah.
And there's other organizations out there working hard. So kudos to you for getting involved at a young age and having the desire to.
Do you think we should, and do you think, like, as a person, do you think we should have, like, faith in God during this whole pandemic about, this virus and not being afraid?
Yeah, God is very clear, scripturally speaking, on where your fear should be. Your fear is to be in God only. And for us to worry is actually, in a large way, it's blasphemy. So what we're dealing with is a actual torpedo attack. This is an attack on our society. This is an attack to unravel the social fabric of our society. And unfortunately, I have no dog in the fight. If there's a real pandemic, by the way, and I'm not saying this isn't a real virus, but the math doesn't work out, and they're manipulating the numbers, and the government's using this to weaponize the healthcare industry to attack our future. So I take it very personally, having a son your age. We are only to have faith in God, and we are only to fear God, and that it's important. I think as we live through this, what we're living through right now, we're going to come out stronger. We're going to have a stronger society. We're going to have a stronger culture, because people are going to wake up to the fact that we're in a war right now. And when Americans realize that they're in a war, we respond very appropriately, and we win those wars. That's what we do. So I'm confident that the youth is going to become stronger as a result of this.
Yeah, because I think I totally believe it's a real pandemic.
Yep.
But I also feel like the media has exaggerated it and made people afraid and just kind of suppressed them, I guess, a little bit. Oppressed, I guess.
You're smarter than half the adults out there.
Yeah, and so I was been researching this a little bit. So AZ ranks low in like quality education. So a couple sources I've been seeing, it's in like the 40s, around that area.
Okay.
So do you see that changing, or like do you have plans to change that?
Yeah. So this is where we have the best example of the federal government's reckless nature. Yeah. The Department of Education is a agency that has so many strings attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
The funding that the federal government gives to the state ties it to curriculum and standards and things that the state of Arizona should not be tied to. So what a federal senator should be doing is getting the federal government out of the education system altogether. Stop funding secondary education the way that we are, because we're basically sponsoring these radical left universities to indoctrinate social justice warriors. I mean, we're paying for us to turn our kids into communists through these universities. So the best thing we can do is get the federal government completely out of the way. It has no business being involved with education at all. As far as Arizona goes, in terms of their public school system, the Republican Party and the Democrat Party both have failed miserably on making sure that the bureaucrats are out of the school system. There's 230 some school districts, and think about this for a second. You have that many school districts, so you have that many superintendents, you have that much staff for the school districts.
Yeah.
So you have duplication of resources, right? So just from a simplicity standpoint, imagine having 237 different districts that you have to fund and have all those, right? So it's really inefficient. And the teachers are the ones getting hurt, because if you took out all the middlemen in between, teachers frankly should be paid a lot more.
Yeah.
They could be paid a lot more. So yeah, I think when you have me as your senator, what you're going to have is you're going to have someone that's going to work with the state legislator and try to encourage them to have a spine and go after this issue, because our youth are the ones suffering, our teachers are the ones suffering. So
yeah, do you think like teachers should get paid? I mean, do you think teachers should get paid on like how they do in class, like if their kids are getting A's and they're doing well and stuff like that?
Yes.
Do you think that's a good idea?
Absolutely. Think about it. I mean, no other industry would even function the way that we allow for the education system to function. It would collapse. So yeah, we need standards where teachers can be incentivized, and the best teachers can be rewarded for their efforts, and bad teachers can be let go of. Right now, if you're in the teachers union, for example, you're protected. So you could be a terrible teacher. You could be, and you've had terrible teachers.
Oh yeah, you got really good teachers, really bad teachers.
There you go. And don't you think, wouldn't it be nice, for example, if the students in the class could rate those teachers?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's what capitalism is. If you work hard and if you build on something, you'll be successful.
That's right.
And that's like teachers, I think. If teachers are good and they put in the work and they really try to be the best they can be, then they should be rewarded for that. And if they're not, then they don't get paid as much.
We have hope. We have hope. It's good to hear.
Yeah, for your time and answering my questions, and then I'll let my dad take it away. Jason
Well, thanks.
Grandon.
You can stay there and we'll get that going.
All right.
So, Daniel, if you would, let everybody know where they can go to donate, help out.
So demanddaniel.com. Let's take our state back. Let's take our culture back. And thank you for the interview. Great questions. And all of you out there, in terms of if you're in the real estate industry or whatever industry you're in, with me, you have someone that's going to be pro-business, pro-economics, smart economics. Let's get to the next level. Let's bring our manufacturing back into this country. From Phoenix to Tucson, that stretch of land right there could be the manufacturing hub of the world. And that's what I intend on doing, is shoring in those jobs into Arizona. But thank you everyone for the support very much, and we look forward to serving very much.
Thank you, everyone. Jason Grandon with the Grandon Group. Again, honored to be with Daniel McCarthy, running for U.S. Senate. Make sure you get out and vote. You got an opportunity to meet a great guy here. It is more important than anything that you get out and vote and support these candidates. You guys have a good one. We'll see you on the next episode of The Lockbox.